afternoon and welcome to Sayo Meets. How many of you guys can say that they have played for a Premier League academy? Well, guess what? Today I'm going to be interviewing somebody who has played at the highest level of English football, Harrison Musuamba. Let's go. Your journey from amateur football to Everton, what were the key steps that you needed to take to get noticed, and were there any other clubs involved?
So I started in around year 7, and I just started like everyone else does in Liverpool, your local team, amateur football called Leabridge.
Yeah.
I just played as much as possible. So before you know it, I started playing on Saturdays and Sundays, local league if you want to call it. Played over and over and over again for a couple of years without no clubs getting involved. And then things started getting a bit serious when I got into year 8. I'm not too sure how old that is, top of my head. From year 8, we started winning a couple of leagues.
Yeah.
And then that's when I noticed I started to come. And the first club that came was actually Liverpool.
Oh.
Yes, I trained for Liverpool for a while, and then I yearly went to Man United. And then I ended up going to Everton in year 9.
During your youth career, you played against and with some world beaters. Which team was the hardest and why?
To play against, I'd say the hardest team I've played was Man City.
Man City.
And I say Man City because from when we were young, obviously we all watched Man City on the TV. And what they would do, the first team, I would play against their, for example, under 14s, and they'd do the same thing. It's crazy transitioning, the movements, the tactics, they would implement that at like at under 14 level, which was just crazy. I'd say Man City for sure.
Man City, okay.
Yeah.
So during your career, you played with some top talents. Who was the hardest player you played against and the most talented player that you have played with?
The hardest player I played against was, there's been a few good players, but if I had to name drop one, I would say Mason Greenwood.
Mason Greenwood. And why him?
Because when we were young, I remember he used to do things that I didn't know you could do yet. So I always remember, like, we played Man United under 15, under 16, and he would take a free kick with his left foot.
Yeah.
And then he'd go over the other side and take a corner with his opposite foot. And it's something simple, but I'd be like, wow. How can you do that so accurately at so young? And then obviously he went on to play professionally and at a high level. Best player I've played with alongside me, I'd have to give it to a player called Anthony Gordon. Plays for Newcastle now, he's really good. That was when I was younger. When I was slightly older, I played with a guy called Cameron Borthwick-Jackson. He used to play for Man United, played Champions League, etc. He was really, really good, how he saw the game. I played directly next to him, so I really got to really like feel what it was like to play with him. Yeah. He was really, really good as well.
Okay. So, according to you, what separates the players that make it through the academy from the ones who don't? Is it the talent, the hard work, their mentality, or possibly a combination of all three?
Talent is definitely a must, but at a certain level, everyone has a little bit of talent. Mm-hmm. Hard work, I do believe everyone works hard anyway, most of them. Even if you say you don't work hard, you still train every day at the highest level.
Yeah.
So I would put mentality first, especially with my experience. The players that did go on to make it, they were the people that you couldn't tell them that they wasn't going to make it. They knew it, even though it wasn't for certain, they knew it.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that I've seen go on to make it. So I would say mentality is definitely the most important.
The footballer's journey is quite difficult, as we all know. Mm-hmm. But agents, they play a big part in it. Why are they all vilified when there's some good ones too?
In my experience with agents, it depends on what side you are of the football world. Okay, so as a professional, or when you're in and around the professional clubs, agents need you more than them. Okay, so it's easy for you to get an agent or for them to do stuff for you because there's incentive for them.
Yeah.
However, when you're not in the professional world, that's when it gets dark. That's when they might get demonized. But that's because you now need an agent more than an agent needs you. And I think that's what players find difficult.
Why do players find it so difficult with agents?
I think it's because if you're a player and you need an agent, that means that you're not actually happy with your situation.
Yeah.
So more often than not, you haven't got a club or you're playing at a really, really low level. For an agent to come down and to move you on, there might not be that much financial gain. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's why they find it difficult. So it's easy for you to for an agent to just bin you off or not speak to you or not take you seriously because you're not the professional that can make them a lot of money.
Yeah. That's sad.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad. What should the non-pros do if they don't have an agent?
But if they don't have an agent, I think that they should first be playing as much football as they can. In England, for example, where I'm from, get yourself in a league, whether that be a lower league team, and play as many times as possible and become the best where you're at. Because we spoke before about the agent not needing a player as much. So you need to get yourself to the point where agents are coming to you, so by building your own momentum. So if you're playing in a lower league team, be the best there. Be the very best that you can be first and foremost before you speak to an agent.
Okay. So basically you just got to get noticed.
Gotta get noticed, create your own traction, create your own motion, play, be the best, win the league, win the individual awards, create your own momentum, and then agents will find you, trust me, they will find you.
So now you guys know what to do. So Harrison, in today's game, how important is it to have the right connections, to use social media, and to have the right coaches to get trials and contracts?
I think it's super, super important, especially in today's age. If you can leverage social media, you increase your chances a lot. You know, I know players that have been offered to go train at a club, or a manager or a coach has went on their social media to verify that they're good enough to come in. And in terms of coaches, the right coach will take you further. I've experienced this myself. When you're locked in with the right type of coach, he can bring out things that you didn't know, and that might be that little extra push you needed, you know, to get to the next level, if you will. But yeah, it's super, super important.
You have played at the English academies, and now you just play for Godson Elite. What differences do you see in the way players are developed, and what can the young talents take from that?
Well, one of the differences that stuck out to me is the amount of academies in Belgium in comparison to England. So in England, there's loads of academies. Even if you're not at the very, very top, there's academies which are in the lower leagues, you would say. But in Belgium, I've noticed that if it's not like the first division here, there isn't that many academies. And if there is, I've noticed the structure isn't the best in terms of farming players from young all the way to old. I think maybe in Belgium, when it's not the top level, there isn't enough for the youngsters.
And for the young players that don't have access to an academy, what can they do here in Belgium?
Well, the first thing I would say is play any way that you can and look for academies like Godson, you know, especially like this in particular, which gets you in some sort of routine, which would imitate like England, like training 3 or 4 times a week, like Godson does. I would tell them to hunt it wherever they are if they're fortunate enough to find it, and to just train every day. And even though they're not signed professionally out at a club or whatever, they can still have that feeling of playing every day and playing competitive football.
Yeah. Okay, so basically staying consistent and trying to play as much as you can. Okay, so for a young player that's trying to build a career, a professional career, what single piece of advice would you give them to have a sustainable career in football?
They have to stay hungry. And what I mean by that is they need to cut all distractions that you can. You know, whatever's not serving you, cut it. If you're trying to make it as a footballer, you really need to make it your #1 priority, not number 2, not number 3. And that can be sometimes family, your close friends, going out, girls in particular. If you really want your best chance, you have to cut out everything and make it your #1 and build your life around football being your #1. For me, if you really want to make it.
And is there like a particular thing that helps you staying focused?
Me in particular, I don't have many things that I'm doing, so I cut out everything. So if I'm not training, there's not much that I actually am doing other than besides work. And especially if you're out the pro game, work, and then football. There isn't room for anything else because you won't win. It won't happen for you.
Harrison,
Yeah.
thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, you're supposed to give
Oh,
two.
you said